What do you do when you carry real responsibility, but you're not the one with the final word? What do you do when people need coaching, culture needs help, trust is fragile, and yet somehow everyone is looking to you to hold it together? Welcome to the Serving Second podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Toussaint Williams. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the hardest parts of leadership, helping people grow when you're leading from the middle. Today, our guest is Ron Reich, a leadership and management expert with over 30 years of experience. He's helped leaders build strong teams, have better conversations, give honest feedback, and create cultures where everybody wins. So if you've ever asked yourself, how do I coach people without pushing them too hard? How do I lead different personalities and do it very well? How do I keep people engaged when I'm tired too? Then family, this episode is for you. I need you to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this episode so other second-tier leaders can have an opportunity to experience what you are going to experience today. They might say you finished last, but you still got the power. It's your time. Your gifts will last. Serve second, still lead. It's your So Ron, thank you and welcome to the Serving Second podcast. So glad to have you today. How are you doing?
Good. First of all, Toussaint, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Now, let me ask you this. I just want to jump into our conversation. For those who haven't had an opportunity to connect with you, what got you into leadership and specifically leadership development?
Toussaint, it's an interesting story. It's a long story, and I'll keep it short. I started my career so many years ago in HR, and it was fine. I had fun. It wasn't something about which I was incredibly passionate, yet I certainly didn't dislike it. My point simply is that after a while, some friends of mine and I had opened an HR consulting firm. We did that for a number of years, and for a couple of different reasons, we decided to shut the doors. And I was going through a divorce at the time. I had nowhere to go except back in with my mom and dad, just nowhere. So I went back with them out of nowhere. I got a telephone call from a guy in Dallas, Texas. Tom Sparks was his name. Ron, I have a job with Toshiba that is the exact opposite of what you are. They're looking for somebody who has a lot of training, some HR. You have a lot of HR and some training. I know the people there extremely well. I can get you in front of them. Your job is to get them to flip their competencies. I went in, talked to them, they flipped them. I started off in sales training and I was doing that for a while. Barbara, Jack, and Tony saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And they were saying, you know what? We do some management development here and some other things like that. How interested would you be? And I was like, man, I'm all in. And one thing led to the next, and 32 years later, here I am.
Wow, what an awesome, what an awesome experience! And thank God for those individuals that kind of saw that in you. When you had that experience, where did you kind of see, oh, this is a possible, opportunity, or is this just something you just wanted to try out?
One thing, Toussaint, and this is it's a classic phrase, and I mean it with every fiber I have. One of the most important parts of my career and one of the most important parts of my being is just is the ability to make a difference. I want
Mm.
to make a difference. And when I started to get into the training and especially the leadership development training, realizing, wow, this is impacting lives. This is just changing lives. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I love it so much because I am able to make a difference. And that's a key part, like I said, of who I am as an individual.
Well, Ron, let's explore that a little bit more as you're talking about making a difference. For the folks we're talking about here in Serving Second, most of them, if not all of us, are individuals who serve as assistants or vice or they're in some second chair role. How could they make a difference in that role versus, most people identify, or some folks look at making a difference as the top seat? How would they be able to do that?
You know what? I'm going to answer that by bringing up an old colleague of mine. Dave, I worked with Dave Beverly for quite a few years. He used to say all the time, you never know when you're making a difference in someone's life, ever. And that makes so much sense to me. And, I've been in that second chair many times, and again, it doesn't make it does make a difference still. In all, my point, it's just, hey, whatever you need to do to help the person who is either running the show, or even when, you know I would go on and do my parts. Making a difference like that is just so critical, just so critical. And for me, I've been very blessed throughout the years, for the most part. Not everybody. A lot of people in that first chair, if you will, didn't have the ego relative to, I'm running this, I'm in charge, you're here to help me, and you serve me. And when that kind of thing makes it difficult for me. I'll still do it, yes. I'm a heck of a lot more passionate, and just a heck of a lot more, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I guess willing.
Yeah.
When I'm empowered to do my thing.
So when you were in those second chair roles, were there any frustrations that you kind of felt like, man, this was a little bit more of a challenge, and how did you navigate that?
You know, part of it is too realizing, what do I control and what don't I control. And for me, Toussaint, I am such a believer in, one of my mantras has been for a long time now: stay out of the results business. And what
Mm,
I mean by that, I try to do everything possible within my control to contribute to a situation, to help to solve a problem, prevent a problem, whatever it might be. And if I don't have control over it, I need to let that go. I mean, I just need to let that go. When I left Toshiba, okay, and I joined a competitor. I won't say who, because it wasn't a good experience, and I don't like to bash other organizations. I got there, and first of all, I did not know how high the bar was set at Toshiba. I had no clue how unbelievably talented those people were. I joined this competitor. The bar at Toshiba is here. The bar at the other organization is way down here. And I was like, folks, look, here are some things we can do to get better. We can implement this. We can do this. A lot of different things. Oh, no. We can't do that. We can't do that. Absolutely not. No, we can't do that. And I was in the second chair, if you will, because I wasn't running the department. I kept talking to my boss, and I was like, no, we can't do that. I did everything I could within my sphere of control, if you will. And the people I was working with, and I'm proud of this, were all saying to me, wow, this is great, this is great, we should really be making these changes. And my boss, no, we can't do that, we can't do that. And finally, I was like, all right, nothing's going to change here. I'm done. I'm leaving. And that's what I ended up doing. Because if I can't control it and I've done everything within my power, then I have to give up. I give up my right to complain about it. Because then
mm.
I'm just living in the problem, not the solution.
Man, I really like how you said that. Just first of all, I can control what I can control, and then living in the problem, not the solution, is crazy because you said that it's almost echoed when my parents used to tell me when I was much younger. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution, and I just
Exactly.
think that so key when it comes to leadership. I
Yeah.
want to just kind of
Yeah.
push you a little bit further when you're talking about leaders, and specifically when it comes to leadership development. I know that's one of the passions that you have.
Hmm.
Kind of share with us, what was that thing that kind of got you into leadership development, and what are the things that really energizes you when it comes to developing leaders?
I love I love seeing the lights go on for people. I mean that is just so much fun for me. I mean, I'm by myself. You know, I'm a one man show, and given that I don't have a tremendous amount of bandwidth, I work with mostly smaller, mid-sized firms, and I'll be working with the senior leaders and just other people like that. And a lot of times, these smaller organizations have had very little exposure to any real training and development and those kinds of things. And to see them, it's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Oh my goodness, how could we not have been doing these things? First of all, that energizes me because again, I circle back. It makes a difference. It makes a difference to them. It's going to make a difference to the people with whom they work and the organization overall. And one of the nice things too, I'm going to maybe a little bit off topic here, whatever. Just relative to making a difference, though, one of the nicest compliments I got was years ago, second chair in a training session. We had finished up. It was with Santa Fe Venice, the big pharma, and one of the participants came up to me, shook my hand. Ron, thank you so much. That was just a great session. I got so much out of it. And I was like, oh, good. You're welcome. He leaned into me and said quietly, he goes, it was something else too. And I thought I knew where he was going with it. And I was like, what? And he leaned in, he goes, Ron, that was 2 days of fabulous marriage counseling. And that's what I thought he was going to say. And Toussaint, again, my point is, it makes a difference for everybody. It's not just, oh, for me as a professional, this is helpful, and the organization. It encompasses everything in someone's life, and again, how does it get better than that for me?
Man, so what I'm hearing you say is you said that the lessons you got were not just for this is business related. I can put it in this box in this sphere, but as you're developing, you want to develop in a sense the whole person, so that when they go home, they can benefit when they're
Exactly.
dealing with their kids or
That's
all
it.
the other places.
That's
And I like
exactly
that.
it.
I like that because for leaders, I don't want the lessons that they're learning just to be in a specific. This is for your job and your job only.
Right. I'll put it away now because I'm going
Yeah.
home, or whatever. No, no, not at all. I mean, all of that. The need for recognition, delivering behaviorally based feedback, listening effectively, getting to know yourself very, very well, and helping your family, helping the kids to understand those things. Absolutely.
Now, I want to speak to specifically when you're dealing with individuals, you're kind of dealing with coaching. And if we're talking to one of the individuals here at Serving Second that are listening to this podcast, they may have to deal with some training for individuals that are on their team. How do they do that without sounding harsh or critical or overbearing when it comes to, let's say, coaching up their team? How do they do that without it being looking down upon somebody else on their squad?
I think one of the biggest things here is I'm a huge believer in Stephen Covey's work, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit two, begin with the end in mind. And
Mm,
one of the things for me that I always say to people and always recommend to people, if I'm going to be coaching you or someone has said, Ron, we'd like you to coach Toussaint. Toussaint, I'm here. My goal here is to make you better. My goal is to help you to develop. It's not Toussaint, you're bad. You need fixing, Toussaint. Not at all. And I think that needs to be one of the biggest approaches. There's a client with whom I'll be working in Long Island in May. And I think that's one of the concerns that the senior leaders have because they've done very, very little training over the years. And they're thinking, we're afraid that the people coming are going to view this as they're being punished. And it's like, no, you're not being punished. We're investing in you. Look at the
mm.
money we're spending here, and we're doing it to make you better so the employees can be better and so that we can all be better. And that to me is one of that's how I like to frame things.
I like that perspective of, hey, listen, when I go in, instead of trying to, I'm going to deal with some of your weaknesses, how can we all grow together? And once we deal with
Exactly.
this or handle this, that makes all the difference in the world. It is crazy. As you're
Well,
talking, go ahead, jump in.
no, well, you know what? If you don't mind, Toussaint, because again, you're
Oh, yeah.
reminding me of something that I think is critical here, and that is especially in these smaller, mid-sized organizations, the senior leaders need to go through everything as well. They need to
Mm.
be a part of it instead of, oh yes, they need the training. I'm too busy, or my team is too busy for this. What message is that? And I said, so often I will hear from people, and again, it's like, Ron, great training. Oh my goodness, this has been fabulous. Or the coaching, they need it. They need it. And I get that.
So can you just real quick before we shift gears, can you speak to that mindset of the importance of, especially in these smaller groups, why would that be important for that leader to go through it as well with them, with the rest of the team?
Number one, consistency. Number two, nothing is beneath me.
Oh, wow.
Nothing is beneath me. I need this training. We all need this. We are all in this together, and together is how we are going to do this. Because otherwise, otherwise you have you have the weakness, or the inconsistency, and it makes no sense, and people know that. I mean, people are not stupid, or it's like, she didn't go through that, they didn't go through it, and they want us to. What sense does that make? And it's like, guys, I get it, I know.
So for that leader who's identifying, hey, I want to bring some training or I want to bring Ron in, the importance is making sure everybody recognizes we're on this growth path together. We're all
Exactly.
moving in the same direction. I love that concept.
Exactly. The key thing you just said, Toussaint, as far as I'm concerned, we
Yeah.
we are all moving in this direction, and we're all committed to it. And I mean, it's so interesting because I have a client in Indianapolis. They're a heavy duty towing company slash transport company, and they are all in. They are all in. Jeff, the owner, and the other senior leaders, they're small too. They're about a
Mm,
hundred, for argument's sake, about 100-person company. They've gone through it. They've walked the walk. They've talked the talk, and you can see it from the other employees, where it's like, yep, yep. They're buying into it, compared to another
mm,
organization, a food company with whom I worked here in New Jersey. Took them through some similar stuff, and the senior leaders are just fading out of it, fading out of it, fading out of it, and it's not going to make a difference. And I've told them that. It's like, guys, this you may as well stop, because you're throwing money away. It just
mm.
makes no sense to me. And again, it's sad, and people don't understand. We're too busy. We're too busy. We have too much going on. It's like, yeah, you have too much going on because there's too much inconsistency with everything else. Nobody knows what anybody's doing, and all.
Man, Ra, I really appreciate just that level of congruency that needs to happen through the organization, particularly as they're growing. You want to make sure everybody's on the same page, focusing on that we. Now, one of the things I also looked at, I really appreciated from your journey, is being able to deal with different personalities. What does that look like, or what does an individual need to do if I'm in that trucking company and I want to be able to kind of grow, but my team is a lot of different groups and not everybody thinks the same way. How do you navigate that from the personality side?
I have been, and I always will be a big believer in personality assessments, particularly the DISC instrument, if you know it, Toussaint.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I can see you nodding. And for me, it's just I said earlier, a little bit, I alluded to it. The DISC instrument for me allows people to get to know themselves on a much deeper level. So
Mm,
it is steeped in research. very accurate, helps you to get to know yourself, like I said, on a much deeper level. Additionally, it's so easy to it's so helpful because it allows you to understand what other people's personalities are, what their priorities are, and how they tend to translate situations. And that for me is one of the biggest ways to be able to navigate different types of personalities and and allowing leaders to understand, wow, we need diversity on this team. We
Mm.
need people who are relationship oriented. We need people who are task oriented. I need people who are energetic and rah rah. We need people who are the second chairs, behind the scenes, doing the grunt work, doing the research. All of these different things come together. What's that called? To me, it's called success.
Yes, I love that, and I've actually been discertified, and I'm a high S. You know, and most people who serve
Okay, I'm
second
not
are in that.
surprised. I am too.
Yeah, that idea, and so it's so interesting. You know, being able to, a friend of mine who does the disc assessment, they call it the airplane side, and so S's are almost like the ground crew. They're a little bit everywhere. They're able to kind of navigate. The pilots are high D, and I are like the flight attendants. And that's just
Yeah,
kind of, I love the journey and how you
yeah.
do that. But when you show up, how do you have administer the test and then get everybody to kind of see where they are? What are one of the, if we were in a workshop real quick with Ron, what would that day look like?
It for me, Toussaint, I always tell people if you're going to do the disc right, I need at least 3 hours. At
Got
least
it.
3 hours to do it. And it for me, the setup is number one, it's fun. And that's important so that if people haven't been through it before, it's not like, oh, it's a personality test. No, it's an assessment. And I mean that's one of the things that I also emphasize to people is that folks, listen, this is an assessment, no more, no less. It's also the best instrument on the market, in my opinion. And I outline for them the reasons for that. And I just let them know is like, hey, you guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's interactive. What I do with them, I have them complete it. I have them find out about themselves first. How accurate is this for you folks? And everybody in the room, 99% of the time, is nodding their heads where it's like, whoa, this is like this scary accurate. So now they know about themselves, and then we get into a big activity where they learn about the other styles. Is that all four styles work together? They answer some questions about themselves, and then we talk about how can the high D's work with the I's? How can the D's work with the C's? How can the C's work with, and so forth? The phrase that I always use, and it's always fun, very simply, you always want to deliver your message, always. The best way to do that is by speaking their language.
Hmm.
And their language for the D is results. Their language for the I, high energy, optimism, being people oriented. For the steadies, they like you to be calmer. They prefer smaller groups to work with. The C's, give them data, give them time to plan, give them time to think. And again, when you do that, you're going to work effectively together.
It's so interesting you said that, because as you were talking, I just heard my wife talking about, hey, I need to have a plan for this event that we're doing and where we're going. She's high C, of course, and
Yeah,
just you're absolutely.
exactly.
I can
Exactly.
give all the energy in the world. I can give all the direction, but until she has a plan, until she understands
Right.
where we're going, it's almost like I'm not even doing anything. And so you're
Right.
you're absolutely correct. And not only for business, but also in marriage as well. But just
There it is.
understanding those
Exactly.
personalities.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's exactly it. My wife is a very, very high C, and
Hmm.
she's the most organized person I've ever known in my life. Sometimes to a point where it appears to be too much, and that's another key thing, appears to be, because I'll tell you what, we love to travel, and she'll start packing a month in advance, and just putting things out, getting
Yeah.
things ready. And I'll just shake my head every single time I need something when we're overseas or wherever. Lori, where's the? Oh, it's right here. And it's like, man, yeah, all right.
You are absolutely. I think we'd be married to cousins because it seems like my wife has the same thing. I'll be like, why does in my mind I don't why do I even need that? But as soon as we get over there, some random charcoal pill or some type of medicine that's look under the
That's
counter. I mean under
exactly
the bag
right.
under. That's exactly it. So shout out to the C's. We need you. We love you guys.
That's
We
right. We need
definitely
you. We love you.
yes, especially
Well,
needed.
and Toussaint, you know what though? Let's stop just for a second, if you don't mind. Just
hmm
because the shout out for the C's, and yeah, absolutely. The other thing that's so important here though for me are the shout outs that need to go to the second chairs, the support staff, and things like that. And I always try to do that because the
mm
recognition for the people behind the scenes is so important. And I say this to people all the time is that I was so fortunate and so blessed. I was a keynote speaker for an organization. I was out in Phoenix a couple of years ago. And actually, I took them through the disc, and we
mm
were almost finished. And I just said, "It's like, you know what, everybody, before we completely wrap up here, I've got to take a minute, and I've got to thank everybody who helped with the setup, who got the instruments out, everything else, guys. Without the behind the scenes work, this does not come off seamlessly because it came off seamlessly." And I was looking at the audience, "This come off seamlessly?" And they were like, "Yes, absolutely." And I was like, "It doesn't happen without these folks. That just
mm.
does not happen." So let's give them a round of applause, please. And again, it's those things.
And I love the way you kind of identified that it's that teamwork makes all the difference in the world and being able to identify that. And that's ultimately why, we created this kind of idea of serving second, this podcast or this community for people who sometimes work in the background. And I think what you're doing is bringing light to, hey, this area is important. While they may not necessarily always have the spotlight, it is vitally important to any organization to have those folks that are working behind the scenes to make it work better.
I'm go- I'm going I'm going to Manhattan Thursday and Friday. I'm gonna be working with an agency with the New York City municipality government, whatever you want to call it. And the one individual who sits at the front desk, I'll get there. She'll help. Everything will be set up and everything else. And I need 16 copies of something, and I know darn well all I need to do is, Kiara, could you please help me? Could I get 16 copies of this? Absolutely, Ron. Thank you so much. That makes my job so much easier. Thank you. And it's that simple. Instead of, come on, that's your job. Just do it. Hurry up. I need these. It's like, yeah, I'll be helping you right away.
And I think that's critical in being able to speak to people and recognize, hey, listen, we are all on a team. And when you value those individuals' contributions, it makes all the difference in the world for them and ultimately the organization.
Right. That's right.
So let me ask you this, and I want to read it, make sure I'm saying this properly. For the person listening who's serving in the second chair and does it really well, what is one shift they can make to make the biggest difference for them now? Like what is one shift? I'm doing this, but I want to kind of do it a little bit better. Is there a shift that they can make to really step their game up?
I think it very well may be asking other people for some feedback, asking for, what do you see in me that I can improve, or not even necessarily improve. What do you see as my strengths?
Mm,
What do you see as my limitations? How do you think I can get better? And I find the question is so interesting because one of the activities I like to do, Toussaint, within emotional intelligence is have people share just with a colleague, what are your strengths? What are you
mm,
good at? And they'll talk to each other and just everything else. And I read just very, very recently, and I should have thought of this, frankly. It's just like, okay, except that is the individual's perception. That's my perception of myself. And I'm saying to people now, You need to ask other people how they view you. And
Mm,
what do you think I need to do in order to get to this level, or what might be important? And just asking those questions and listening. And I mean, the best piece of business advice I ever got, ever, was during a performance review. I was talking with my boss, Joe. He had given me my review. He had given me my increase, my bonus, and I was happy with everything. And I made a comment to him, just sort of offhand. I was like, Joe, I said, I really wish I could become more well rounded. I mean, I think I'm good. And he just looked at me and he was like, Ron, that's something I wanted to talk to you about, and it's coming up. And he said, I think you should become more well rounded too. Start reading.
mm,
Just start reading. If you can read 10 pages a day, 5 days a week, you will read 10, 12 books a year. That was like 25 years ago. I've read over 400 leadership books just by that comment and getting that input and listening to people and being open to what people have to say. And as I because again, you never know when you're making a difference, like David Beverly says.
mm. Yeah, I love the concept of being a lifelong learner. And I think, what you're hearing is 10 pages a day. And I'm an audiobook guy. And so I think it makes, just being intentional about how can I continue to grow? Like, how can I always sharpen my axe so that when I
That's
do
right.
have to, cut
That's
down
right.
those trees, it can do it a lot easier. And I think it's so important that you're sharing that there's never an aha or I've arrived kind of moment, but I've got to continually going back and
Nope.
helping staying, as a kid
Yeah.
say, staying on my grind so that I can continue to be a sharp, well-rounded leader.
That's right. Well, Joe Paterno used to say when he was alive, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Mm,
And at first I was like, gee, I don't quite understand that. And he followed up with, if you're not getting better, your competition probably is, which means
mm,
you're getting worse. He said you got to assume your competition is working harder than you are, reading more than you are, lifting more weights than you are, whatever it might be. And if they're getting better, that means you're getting worse if you're not improving. Which would then, in that context, I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
yeah, I love the idea of constant improvement, and I think that's one of the things that we want to embody here on the Serving Second community is where we're constantly growing and having individuals like yourself where we can learn more about DISC and learning more about ourselves, and I think that's so important. As we kind of conclude here, what is a final piece of nugget you can give them in your 30 years of leadership development and coaching? What's something that you would share or leave with a individual that serves second?
I would say get to know yourself extraordinarily well. Just
Mm,
extraordinarily well. Complete the disc instrument, learn about what are your strengths, what are your limitations, what triggers you. Equally as important, who are you? What are you as an individual? What are your guiding values? All of these different things, because the better you know yourself, the more effectively you will work with other people. And and as far as I'm concerned, the better choices you will make relative
mm.
to your career and your personal life. Because if you don't know yourself, that's going to be a problem. That's just going to be a problem for me, at least.
Man, that is special, Ron. I wish I could continue this interview for an extended period of time, but I know you have work to do. But how can people connect with you and find a way where they can kind of work with you, or they would like to get some leadership training from you? Where can they connect with you?
Sure. Probably the best way to do it is through LinkedIn. Just very simply, my name is right there. Name of the company is RLB Training and Development, and I welcome the chance to just chat with anybody. And I mean that it'll be a chat. It's not going to be a sales call. It's not going to be, oh, unless you pay me, I can't give.
Mm.
Just just reach out. I will gladly talk to anybody.
And Ron, I really appreciate that. And we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for stopping by the Serving Second podcast. This is an opportunity for us to grow and develop. And thank you so much for pouring individuals who serve in this second chair role. This is the Serving Second podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Toussaint Williams. Thank you so much for joining us for one additional episode. Look forward to seeing you next week. God bless. Ron gave us a real reminder that leadership isn't always about title, authority, or being the loudest person in the room. Real leadership shows up how you coach people, how you listen to others, how you correct, and how you help others know even when the pressure is real and the challenges are tough. And that, family, is the heart of Serving Second. I want to encourage you to sign up, to subscribe, to do what you need to do to stay connected to the Serving Second audience. Leave a comment below so you can let another leader know what resonated with you. Family, remember, the theme Serving Second podcast, the mission I serve is bigger than my title. That's right. The mission I serve is bigger than my title. Until next week, I look forward to connecting with you. Take care.